Good morning, Dominic Perillo and Jan Kasperitz with a very special guest, Terry Kerrigan.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Although
Thanks.
Terry spelled it correctly, but it's okay.
All right. Thanks for listening to the Elite Performance Team podcast. This is your first time listening, and thanks for joining us. The Elite Performance Team podcast is produced weekly for your enjoyment. You can follow us on Facebook or YouTube at Elite Performance Team and also iTunes. Terry,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, what do you want to know? I've got multiple hats and.
You're a father.
Yeah. Father of two, Kai and Kiana, 8 and 5. He just turned 5 yesterday, actually. And I'm a husband, business owner of VI Private Care, viprivatecare.com. It's a private nursing agency that's dedicated a VIP service model to the home care industry, so it's very unique. And we service people in New York City, Bergen County, but more importantly, we have a global presence. And we've been established for about 6 years now, moving into franchising. And I'm a former professional athlete, amateur athlete and professional in the endurance world, so I'm sure you both naturally relate to that, right? You're both endurance athletes yourselves.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And my athletic pursuit throughout my life has, changed. From swimming, I had this idea that I'd be, an Olympic level swimmer, water polo player. Those were my sports. I was a typical ball sport athlete as well, baseball, basketball, football. And I excelled at pretty much everything that I did. I think I was just a natural athlete. But I gravitated toward individual sports, mainly because I was responsible for myself.
Right.
And I didn't have to, naturally when you're a kid, the inclination is if things aren't working out, you're pointing fingers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Especially with the ball sports.
Oh yeah,
Right.
definitely. And I found more personal satisfaction and peace knowing that when I look in the mirror, and whatever the result is, it's on me.
Right.
And I think that swimming definitely introduced me to that because it's a solo sport for the most part, except for some of the relays. But I've been an athlete, my whole life, and it's my labor of love. I think with my business, on the other side of my business, working with training like a pro academy, that is my true passion, is to help help others, kids, adults, feel like they can get the benefits of professional athletic insight and wisdom without forcing or trying to impose my experiences on them, making them think that they're going to be a professional athlete. It's really not the goal. The goal is to take what I've learned over a lifetime and use it in an effective way that can help anyone feel like they don't have 2 left feet, or they feel more confident in their own skin and feel healthy, strong, stable, adding to the quality of their life.
We were having a great conversation before we even started the podcast in regards to some of our patients and our clients and athletes that you've come across as well. They jump from a very amateur, like a 5K or a 10K, then they're doing, or even maybe a sprint triathlon, and now they have their goal set at doing an Ironman at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you could just rewind what we talked about previously, because I think a lot of people need to hear this, because me and Dominic, we preach this to everybody who walks in through our door. It's great that they're getting active, they're doing, doing 5Ks, they're doing sprint marathons, but what's your belief of going from something which is not that time consuming training for a sprint triathlon to doing something like a half Ironman or even going up to an Ironman?
Well, from my recollection 5 minutes ago, it's pretty clear to me that if you're not an elite performing short distance athlete, we were talking 5K, so if you think the example of a 5K runner, if you're not running sub 16 minutes for 5K, you're probably not physiologically cut out right away, at that moment, for anything much longer than that. And as you start to go longer, you're placing an inordinate amount of stress and complication on your body. And not just your body, on the preparation. We were just talking about that on your life.
Sure.
The amount of dedication required.
Would you say with that 16-minute number that you're throwing out there, you're talking an elite level now?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
somebody who's just for
Okay,
argument's sake.
for argument's sake, at a grassroots sort of basic level, I'd say 18, 19 minutes would be the threshold for raising the bar in terms of competition that is stressful and longer. So is that an hour event? Anything an hour, when you start getting to an hour, 2 hours plus, you need to have a strong VO2 max, which indicates whether or not you can handle extensive, repetitive, consistent aerobic stress in your body.
Do you measure VO2 max with your clients?
Well, I measure it in terms of body weight, mass, and velocity. I don't use, because that's the truth.
Right.
And you can extrapolate estimated oxygen uptake based on that. The utilization of these tools, like the typical VO2 max measuring equipment and calibrating that, is really, to me, a little bit, I would say, unnecessary, because the reality is you're going to see someone run, you're going to see the size of the person, you're going to see how fast they run, right? And that's going to tell you if they have a high VO2 max or not.
Sure.
So, the number itself is nice to know,
Sure.
but there's a margin of error there. But what will ultimately tell the truth is when you put them outside and say, run 800 to 1,000 meters, how fast do you actually run? Or swim or bike or row or whatever the demand is.
When you were a professional athlete, did you ever have your VO2 done?
Yeah, I did.
Remember the numbers?
Yeah, well, when I was a swimmer at URI, we were in the sort of the infancy of this type of equipment. And there was, I remember having a grad student put the mask on me on a treadmill, but I was a swimmer. So I was thinking, well, why are we doing this in the water? You're having me run? So it lacks specificity, 80-pound male. So I only can whittle my body down so much. So to be at the super elite level in cycling and running and triathlon, like the sub 8 hour level, I didn't have those genetics. I was a low 8:30, 8:45, 9 hour physiology. I put the work in and the time, and that's what my ability was. So you take the cards, the way they're dealt.
Sure.
So along your journey from starting as a swimmer and moving forward into being a professional athlete,
right.
What obstacles, challenges, type of things like this did you face and lessons?
Well, they were emotional, mental, and physical ones.
Absolutely.
I would probably say the emotional ones were confidence. This autonomy of looking at yourself and putting the weight of the world on your shoulders and these expectations, and being able to say something when someone asks you, oh, you're going to do this race or an Ironman or whatever, how do you think you're going to do? That question?
Oh,
right?
yeah, all the time.
Right? And then you hear this spectrum of answers, like the low confidence people say, well, I'm just trying to finish,
Sure.
right? Or the overconfident people, oh yeah, I'm going to kill it, I'm going to smash it, and probably not the truth, right? And then it's the arrogant one, right? Or perceived to be arrogant. Like, I think I'm going to win, and I'll probably break the course record. And if that's honest, and you have the work, and then you go and do it, well, you're not so arrogant, are you? Right? But if you fall short of that, right? And I think it's a psychological understanding of, in our society, we're often, I think there's just so many opinions and viewpoints around etiquette or the way you're supposed to behave and think. And as a kid, I didn't know what to think. I just was trying to drum up this belief in myself that I could do something that I wanted to do. And then I went through these layers of self-doubt, of dealing with disappointment and failure or judgments of other people. So I had to navigate through that as an athlete. And I think finding that place of humility, but also unrelenting and belief in myself that I can actually do what I say I'm going to do, was the evolution of the growth that I had to go through to be the best I could be. And so I would say confidence is one. Being a consummate professional is another thing that comes to mind.
Absolutely.
I learned that from Dave Scott and Simon Lessing. Back in the day when I was training in Boulder, I had a talk with Simon, and he said, you know, the thing that I learned that propelled his career at the time was what being a consummate professional really means. And it was the first time I heard anyone, especially a competitor, a peer of mine, certainly he was a higher level than me, but it was nice to hear it, and he was very frank about what he meant by consummate professional. And I think from that conversation with Dave, it helped reshape the way I was approaching my life in my pursuit to being the best I could be. And I was cutting corners. I was living in ways that was not indicative of a consummate professional. And I wasn't necessarily getting the results I wanted to get. And I had to ultimately look at myself. I was responsible for this. And so those are two things that come to mind.
Hey, Doc.
Physically, there are a lot of them.
Right, of course. Physically,
Yeah. Just
Doc,
different
what do
work.
you see? You have a ton of athletes as patients. What do you see that are a lot of obstacles for some of the patients you see, and specifically some of them that come through are elite and professional? What do you see a lot of their obstacles being? I know one is vegetables.
Yeah, one is the diet, especially with the younger athletes. I've been lucky enough to work with a significant amount of really high-end young athletes. I'm talking about anywhere from like 8th grade through high school through college. They come in here with injuries, and I try to right off the bat explain to them, you're a high-level athlete. It's good to be injured, because when you're injured, you learn how to adapt to an injury, but you need to learn things to speed up your recovery process. So I try to try to feed them the idea of you got to feed your body. Try to do foundational stuff. So try to get them to indulge in more eating vegetables, maybe not eat as many sweet things. But one of the main obstacles I see in young athletes is doubt. In regards to doubt, they can't visualize some things. They may be better than the kids they're playing with or participating or competing with now, but they can't visualize what they could actually do. Like I had this one patient, phenomenal high school football player. Unfortunately, he was playing alongside another football player who was drafted 9th in the NFL draft. But the reason I believe that this one athlete was drafted 9th in the NFL draft was due to the fact that the kid playing next to him was getting double teamed.
Right.
So then he went to, let's just call him Lewis. So Lewis went to a Division I school, small school, dominated, kicked butt. He first 2 weeks, I believe he was like rookie of the league. And then I'm like, listen, it's like, you have the heart, he's shorter, powerful, very powerful guy. I'm like, why don't you focus on long snap? I'm like, you could snap the ball. You know, why don't you visualize, I can't do that. I'm like, this is like your one way. Be a punter or be a long snapper. That's your 2 ways to get into the NFL.
Yeah.
Too big to punt the ball, but long snapping, you got the size. You could also play another position, and just all the doubt. So I see a lot of patients who come in here, younger but even older too. They can't get past the ability to visualize what they can actually do.
Yeah.
So recently, I've been telling a lot of people, and I Facebook interact with a lot of people as well, and tell them that people have come across the same exact issue that you've had and completely dominated it. So you know that somebody could actually do it. Same thing with the 4-minute mile story.
Right.
Nobody thought you could do a 4-minute mile. Once somebody finally did it, I think within a 1-year period.
And so I guess that's part of my ritual, but I'm not as ritualistic as I used to be. Like when I was racing, it was getting up at a particular time, right? Eating a particular meal prior to training, right? And I knew I had to have that.
Sort of almost, right, it becomes like schedule. I'm trying to think of
sleeping, recovery,
right, exactly.
everything,
Exactly.
And time management.
Right.
You know, I think I'm at a stage of life where I have perspective on all that now, and I don't hold myself as rigidly accountable for every single thing that I do in a daytime, because I think I was probably too managed, driven, and disciplined for 20-something years, that I think taking a break from that was a nice relief.
During those years,
You know?
did you ever feel like a point where you're reaching like a burnout point? Like it was just too much?
I was so hypnotized by being the best I could possibly be that no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did break my immune system.
Sure.
Yeah, I did. I cracked and I hurt myself several times, but it never deterred me from it. I never get really like mentally burned out. But when I got to be in my early 40s and had different goals and wanted children and I noticed that my body was probably not on the rise in terms of athletic performance, I had to face that reality, and I changed things about my life. So.
So now you're focusing on training.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your training academy.
Well, it's new. It's not completely built. The website is still a ways from being launched. The academy itself is being built by contractors at this very moment. It's in my home. I have a very large home. I live in New Jersey, in the Bergen County, and it's about 400 square feet, and it's very similar to what you have here.
Sure.
And that is functional. It's got jiu-jitsu flooring, with mats, striking area with heavy bags, and a lot of functional training type equipment. That's the academy is really designed to help foster, I would say, a different approach than what you commonly see being offered by gyms, in the area. So if you take anything in this vein, the competing environments of like boxing gyms or jiu-jitsu or mixed martial arts or just clubs, Lifetime, etc. They have their own thing. Mine is a mental, emotional, educational platform, as well as a physical development platform. So an adult would come to me for whatever reason, I have a solution for them. And I'm calling it Train Like a Pro mainly because I have learned throughout my professional athletic life what's effective, what's ineffective about training. It's just training, the word training, the process of going about training. And I'm offering what I feel is safe, sustainable, and I think that's the real operative word, sustainable. What is going to match with your personality type, your body type, that you will do autonomously without me telling you what to do.
Yep.
You're going to be happy and healthy. My job is to help kids, adults feel I'm healthy, I'm mobile, I'm as pain-free as I possibly can be. I have goals, I have exhilaration from movement, I'm not intimidated by competition or movement, and I can do this for a lifetime.
See, that's a beautiful thing that you just mentioned. You
Yeah.
mentioned mobile, independent, pain-free, which
Yeah.
is huge.
Mm-hmm.
What we've been getting, we've had a paradigm shift here in the office over the last 8 to 9 months. And what we're really focusing on is not just getting you out of pain. Getting somebody out of pain is really not that difficult. But we want you to be pain-free, not using any kind of drugs or any kind of pain meds, muscle relaxers, or anything like that. A couple of our recent clients, they just started out running with no functional training before.
Right.
So they could go run like 2-3 miles. They're very sore the next day, but no significant issues. Then they start hitting 4 or 5 miles. Boom, everything, the proverbial shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Things start breaking down, things start hurting. My knee hurts.
Yeah.
And they still continue running. So then we try to explain to them. Exactly. And actually I had somebody come in with that shirt. I'm like, wow, no pain, no gain. That's a novel concept.
Right.
In reverse, we're trying to stress the same thing. Focus a lot on mindset. Train your brain, train your body.
Yeah.
But also the idea of you want to be mobile to the point where we are so functionally strong that if you want to go run a 5K on a Saturday and then go ride a bike for 30 miles the next day, you should be able to do it. Okay?
Right.
In regards to age, if you're in your early teens, you could pull that off with not much issue. But I'm 46, Dom's 42.
Yeah, I'm
And
51.
51. We're all in that group where if we haven't trained for a while to go out and do that, we could do it, but we're looking at potentially hurting something.
Yeah.
So we're trying to teach people functional strength, get you out of pain. Now,
I have a little. I don't know your full opinion on all of that around age.
Well, what's your opinion?
On age?
Mhm.
I think your biological reality and your chronological can be different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think by and large you're probably dealing with a population of people that as they age, it's exacerbating or influencing the likelihood of more injury, right? Soft tissue changes, lifestyle conditions aren't necessarily
That's the
perfect.
key, is the lifestyle change.
Right.
Because these are the people who are, what we see a lot is professional sitters.
Right.
So they're
Exactly.
shutting off their glutes, they're crushing their
Right, okay,
hamstrings,
yeah.
core weakness,
Well, that's
the
fair.
core is completely weak,
Yeah.
and now they want to do a 5K.
Right.
And they end up walking 5Ks.
Right.
So exactly like in
Yeah.
your case, you're active.
Well, right, and I'm probably in an anomaly in that I'm 51 and I can, I mean, you're not going to see me doing anything athletic here, but I can do it.
Sure.
I mean, I can grapple, I can strike, I can run, I can play soccer for 90 minutes, I can do 10-mile runs. I mean, and I don't have injuries.
Sure.
So evidently, my history has a lot to do with that.
Absolutely.
Right. But not everybody is fortunate to have gone through that and got out fairly unscathed. Not that I don't have any limitations or I have injuries in the past, but they don't limit me. But I'm also not setting the bar ridiculously high in that I'm trying to be a competitive professional MMA fighter or still trying to carry on my triathlon career. I mean, I do accept some responsibility in the reality that age does have some limits.
Mhm.
However, I like to be somewhat delusional,
Sure.
you know, to be in denial that,
Mhm.
hey, maybe I can change the way people perceive aging. And there was a great article written in the New York Times not too long ago, I think this summer, it was about, I think August or July, about the 72-year-old guy who is the world record holder in 100 meter to 400 meter on the track.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's 72 and he runs a 56-second 400.
That's quick.
Yeah.
That's 72.
Yeah.
That's quick.
I mean, right now I run 62 and I'm trying to break 60 again.
Sure.
So,
Right.
and he's 20 years older than me. So,
Terry,
yeah.
if your kids play sports,
Yeah.
maybe they do, they don't, you go to,
Oh, yeah,
you
my
go to their
son's-
school, you go to
My
back to
son's
school
super
night.
high level.
What happens when you look around though at the other dads? They don't look like us
No.
Right, and
most
the
of them
majority.
don't. Yeah.
Right, the
Yeah.
majority. You see a lot of, right, this word has been,
Yeah,
a few years ago, is where it became dad bod.
Yeah.
Like, where did this become a thing that's a dad bod? But when you look around,
Yeah.
you know, and my kids play sports, they're a little bit older now, so they're kind of out of that. When I look around, and no disrespect to anybody,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the majority of, I mean, here, right, where we live, the majority of the people are professional sitters. They're out of
Yeah.
shape. They're not taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
They, whatever they do, they drink, and I'm not judging anybody,
Yeah.
but that's their MO is, you know, what, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna go to this
Yeah.
restaurant, with the
Right.
portions, you gotta see the size of these portions, and that's what really is happening in America.
Yeah, I think self-control, delayed gratification is a big problem. Impulse control.
Right.
We're in a quick to judge, quick to satisfy, quick to be happy society. And I think seeing the delayed gratification, seeing the fruits of your labor manifest and over time is not necessarily the way people think. So, I mean, I have a lot of theories on why all this stuff happens and why people are like that, but, you know, what can I do? You know, I really can't, you know, control society. All I can do is just live my own life the way I feel is right, and help influence people that want to be influenced, that are open to it. You know, so and it's not to say that even people who are overweight are necessarily unhealthy.
No, right.
Right. I mean, there are
absolutely.
people that can live long lives that are not necessarily very physically active, and I even look at the darker side of being an active, athletic male. Like, you have to look at both sides of the coin.
Sure.
You know, we were talking about that in terms of triathlon. You know, how
It's a
people
lot of stress on the
romanticize,
body, right.
you know, Ironman, you know, but they're not looking at how it can destroy your life.
Right.
And I think what I mentioned to you maybe a while ago was I try to deter people from making these impulsive, rash, or egocentric decisions around things that are dangerous. You know, and not all sport endeavors are safe for people.
And not just physically to yourself, but also
Other
to your
people.
relationships.
Job, family.
People don't understand the amount of
Yeah.
training you need to do an Ironman. Because you're
Well,
not
the
just
recovery that you
the
need.
recovery, exactly.
The money, the time.
Sure. And then you're also having to work. You have
Yeah.
responsibilities with kids, with your wife.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want the world around you to fall apart at the seams because you're going to get this Ironman tattoo across the finish line. And yeah, so, and then what? Life goes on. So the race is over. You you invested all these hours, but what has fallen apart around you?
Right.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Do you plan on returning to athletics at all?
Well, I have, as a soccer player. And so my son is my coach, and my 8-year-old son, who's a phenom soccer player, like legitimately, like
Is this
professional
the
level.
model son?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he's academy level. I'm taking him to Europe. Like, he's really
nice.
good.
Good.
But he has inspired me to do a new sport, and I follow it, and I condition kids for soccer, and I've helped him
Sure.
in his conditioning, which is very noticeable on the field. And I'm trying to become a more skillful soccer player. So I love soccer now that I'm competing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And 90 minutes twice a week.
How can people find out about your academy if they want to inquire?
Well,
sign up, get
it's
your
on
coaching?
Instagram.
Yeah, we're gonna put up all your
Yeah,
information on there, too.
trainlikeapro.academy.
Mhm.
You can put that in the URL, and you'll see at least a landing page.
Sure.
There's Facebook, trainlikeapro.academy, and then just contacting me.
Sure.
The number. Choose
Yeah, we'll put all
01.
the information on the
Yeah, yeah,
website.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to help anybody. I just like to talk about this whole process of whether it's amateur, regular population, their interest in health or athletic performance or becoming physically fit. And then I've got a whole other side of it, which is all elite athletic development. I've got a handbook, a manual that discusses all of what I talk about or have alluded to in this podcast around my history, as an elite athlete. But,
Yeah, me and Dom were actually speaking yesterday. We had a really good conversation about, it's one thing to be able to pass a test, get certified as a
Yeah.
run coach or something like
Yeah.
that, but to actually participate, excel at it at a high level,
yeah,
which is what you've done with all
Yeah.
the sports that you've done,
Yeah.
it takes it to a whole different level.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
people really don't understand the commitment they need to do, the mindset, the nutrition, which is also required.
Yeah.
The reality of what's actually going to go on, what's normal, compared to somebody who just literally did a test on the internet and
Yeah.
became a coach. Completely different results.
Yeah, there's an
as well.
experience that goes along with all this that is really important to help give educated, informed opinions to people so that they're approaching it in the best way possible, for their own goals, but there are blind spots with lack of experience.
Sure, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Doc, anything?
I'm good. It's excellent.
Terry, any last words?
No. Thank you for having me on. I love it.
Thank you.
It's fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Terry, for coming.
Yeah.
If you would like to hear more information, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes at Elite Performance Team, or visit our website at eliteperformanceteam.org. If you enjoy the content, leave a comment, share with your friends that may enjoy our podcast. Until next week, train your brain, train your body.